My role with the Kansas City, Missouri School District began in the fall of 1996. I had been an administrator for curriculum and instruction with the Topeka Public Schools when I received an invitation from the Kansas City, Missouri School District to apply for the position of Director of Instruction. I did. I was hired, and I came to the Kansas City, Missouri School District in October of 1996 as the Director of Instruction. So my role entailed looking at the lowest achieving schools and coming up with a strategy by which we would provide professional development to the teachers in a really compact way to impact their instruction. In terms of integrating schools, my charge was to ensure that instructional strategies were available to the teachers in all schools. Part of my position when I first came, and my position changed. I was there for 5 years. I had 5 different jobs. So the first one was Director of Instruction, where we pulled together teams to go to 6 low-achieving elementary schools and bring the resources and strategies to that school for a month-long opportunity of professional development. So that was my initial position. I think the community has always been engaged with its schools, especially parents. Many times I heard, oh, if we could only get parents involved in our schools. Well, I think parents were involved and wanted to be involved, but I think it was a challenge for parents to find the appropriate avenue by which to be involved with schools. But when we would have activities for students, parents would be there, whether it was an afternoon activity or a night activity. But I think our community has always shown an interest of involvement and support for our schools. Hey, the attitudes around school integration, what I found is most of the educators that I worked with were concerned about educating the students we had. Now, I know part of the decree from the judge was to attract majority culture students from outside the district and to implement the theme of each of our schools. However, the educators that I worked with, their focus continued to be on educating well the students that we had. So we tried to monitor and educate the students that we had versus attracting students from other districts. That was never my charge. I am not aware of the attitudes of our students concerning integration at that time. That was never a topic that I brought up with students, nor that I heard back their reflection on integration. I think our students many times were not aware of the charge of the integration decree. My charge, personally and professionally, was always to educate the students that we had and to educate them well and to ensure that we had quality schools. Now, if quality schools were a magnet or an attractive device for parents, then absolutely, I think we impacted that. However, when I came to the Kansas City, Missouri School District, I was told that integration was one of the priorities. But as an educator, my priority was always educating well those which we currently served. My experience was that the focus on integration at times disabled us from doing our jobs perhaps as well as we would like. One of the first questions I had as an administrator of my superiors coming in as the director of instruction was, what are our current scores? How are our students doing academically currently? Because of course I wanted a baseline as we moved forward, or as I moved forward in this position. And I was brought into a room and told not to ask that question again because the court decree had two focuses. One, attract majority culture students from outside the district, and number two, implement the theme of the magnet. However, it never left my mind that increasing achievement for all students had to be a priority, even though it was not written in the court decree. My involvement with that would have been the fact that the State Department of Education was making a determination on our accreditation at the time that I came. We had been told that the district was going to be unaccredited, or it was unaccredited, based upon this new thing called the Missouri School Improvement Plan, MSEP, and the administration of assessments on which we were going to be judged and compared. So we immediately went to work on responding to the state and developing a document in terms of our next steps towards accreditation. And based upon that document, we did receive in 1997 provisional accreditation from the state. So that had more to do with organization and structure, perhaps, than academics. But we knew if we could continue to focus on academics, we could go from provisional to accredited. The social outcomes for our students certainly would be exposure to other cultures and to other people. Unfortunately, I think at times our students may have been aware of us investing so many resources and time in terms of attracting other students. I always wondered how they felt about that, if they felt we weren't spending as much time or resources on them as we were in terms of trying to make our schools attractive for others. You know, I'm not sure about the answer to that question, other than I think because we never received full accreditation status with the State Department, that many people looked at this as an experiment that failed. We never obtained the numbers that we wanted in terms of a balance of racial integration into the schools. And because of that, I think people drew conclusions that not only did the experiment fail, but perhaps we as educators failed, and that our students were failing also. And of course, that's one of the things that has always stayed with me, because when I came to Kansas City, I viewed so many successes There were so many good things going on in this district academically, with our students, with our leadership, with our teachers, and yet those stories never came to the forefront because of a focus on other things. I think the answer to that is the answer for all schools, which is to recruit and retain quality instructors and quality leadership. So certainly that can be more of a challenge in an area where one may not live. So many times professionals choose, because they do have choices, to live closer to where they work and to avoid the challenges that are apparent in urban settings. So I think retaining and recruiting quality individuals is a challenge for us, as it is across the nation in all schools. I would just say a lasting perception that that I have is, in situations like these, or in this one, somehow there was always the perception that quality lied outside of the institution. It was always the perception that I had was that quality was outside of the district if we could just recruit people from outside of the district. And I was one of those people. And it appeared to me that there was the perception if you just lived 60 miles outside of the district, you were an expert, that your resources and talents were better than those who currently worked for the district. And again, I was a part of that. I came in recruited from 60 miles outside of the district, and yet came in to work with some of the highest qualified and capable individuals that still to this day I have ever worked with. And yet those people never seem to receive the acknowledgement for their talents that I think they should have.